Welcome back to Man Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where we will be vibing as per usual, and I will be talking like that for the rest of the episode. No, I won't. That would be ridiculous. It would be outrageous, one might say. What should we talk about today? I don't know. Anything happened recently? I mean, yesterday The Apprentice was on. Another watch party. They did like cartoons at its time, or like animation sort of things, which you might be like, oh, that pertains really strongly to your interest. Did you watch it? And I watched a bit of it. I'll be honest, Apprentice still not really my cup of tea. I kind of watched it on mute, but you know, then I saw the animations, the cartoon animations. I was like, ugh. To be fair, it's pretty difficult to become, you know, a cartoon developer and like have like one day or whatever, so you know, I don't blame them, but still. Hello everyone, right now in Fawnhallow at 6:11 p.m. on Friday, January 20th, 2023. If anything, I think it goes to doubly show, you know, that sort of, not situation, the situation where when you know about something, you know how bad something can be, I suppose. What I mean by that is that it's always that phenomenon of like, you know, when you go on like the internet, you like see an interesting fact about something, you go like, oh cool, that's pretty cool. And when you see like an interesting fact about something you actually are knowledgeable and actually know about, and you go like, that's not even correct, or like that's completely misrepresenting it, or be like, okay, yeah, but you're leaving out a huge important part of that detail, and then it makes you reflect on all the things which you've seen, interesting facts you've seen about things which you are not that like well educated on, and you're like, huh, okay, you know, maybe maybe you should start doubting, I suppose, and some of these unreliable sources, I suppose, such as the internet, where, you know, people can put anything on the internet for free, and you know, it can spread like wildfire as long as it's interesting enough, I suppose, viral enough. And you might be like, that doesn't really sound all that related to the Apprentice episode, and I guess that's true, but still, it's that sort of effect, which probably has a name. I don't know, everything's got a name. Well, that's not true. If everything had a name, then I suppose, you know, we'd have very thick dictionaries, if anything. But yeah, I don't really know what to talk about. There's not really much to say in regards to that, because I didn't really watch it, I suppose, in the first place. What can we talk about? Is there something particularly interesting I could talk about? I mean, of course, Chinese New Year is coming up. Or Lunar New Year, I suppose, if you're not Chinese, and fair enough. Yeah, rabbit, or that sort of thing. I guess I could talk about rabbits. Have I talked about rabbits before? Yeah, I mean, we used to have pet rabbits. I won't really my rabbits, or like my sister's rabbits or whatever, but still, you know, I looked after them a little bit here and there, not like a huge amount. Oh, my headphones are all tangled out. Hold on. They've somehow wrapped around each other, which I don't even know how that's remotely possible, but of course it was something of my own doing. It's not really like headphones do that automatically by themselves, and at least I like to think these headphones aren't possessed, and if they are possessed, then they are at least rather cooperative. Yeah, rabbits. You know, we're going to be a rabbit. I don't really know what rabbit means in Chinese zodiac, to be honest, and I assume it just means, you know, being, I was going to say like being nimble. It's like, what does that even mean? It's not a personality trait. Chinese zodiac rabbit. The only one I know is ox. It's meant to be like stubborn and hardworking. Gentle, quiet, elegant, and alert, as well as quick, skillful, kind, patient, and very responsible. There you go. If you ever want to feel not bad about yourself, good about yourself, just, you know, I suppose Google one of either your Chinese zodiac sign or your astrological sign, and you'll be like, wow, look at all these positive traits, which definitely pertain to me. But yeah, what was I going to say? I don't really know what else to say about it, to be honest. I mean, rabbits are pretty cute, you know. Like, we used to have rabbits, and I think I probably told this before, we used to have rabbits, and then we thought they were both male rabbits, and turns out one was a female rabbit, and then they had 2 litters, and we had like 15 baby rabbits, which were eventually given away to like friends, family, colleagues, etc, etc. This is back when I was like in primary school, I think, still. Yeah? Primary school? Yeah, sounds about right. And then, yeah, I don't know. And then they ran away at some point, and then we never saw them again. But that's been like well over like 15 years ago or something now, so hopefully they live their best life in the rabbit wilderness or whatever, or not. You know, I'm not sure how particularly well domestic animals survive in the wild. They don't do particularly well, as I understand it. Unsurprisingly, it's a pretty big environment, you know, big environmental shift. Well, I mean, it is an environmental shift, I suppose. So, you know, I mean, anyone like struggles to do well in a whole new environment, and you know, imagine if you're just an animal, like, you know, being dependent on, you know, an owner for your entire life, and then suddenly being like, oh, you know, got to fend for yourself. I'd imagine it's, you know, nature can be quite a cruel place, cruel and unforgiving, but it's also, you know, I suppose quite indifferent in the first place. It cares not of your silly human emotions and whatnot that get tied up within it. It just is, which I suppose is, you know, kind of a point of it. in the first place, you know. Or if anything, that should be the distinction of humans, I suppose, from nature in the first place. I don't even know where I'm going with that. That sounds like some sort of like future cyborg sort of nonsense I'm saying. Like, oh, this is what separates man from machine is the capacity of human emotion. That's not really what I meant. I don't know. I'm just feeling, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Anyway, rabbits are pretty cute. I'm not going to lie. I must say, you know, rabbits panic like crazy sometimes. You know, they're very skittish. Well, they're not always very skittish, but when they're skittish, are they skittish? However, actually, you know what I can talk about? I don't know if... I don't even know how... This doesn't even, like, very vaguely lead on, but I remember back in primary school, we used to have, like... a class pet, but only in nursery. And you might be like, what's nursery? Nursery is kindergarten, essentially. But that's basically like a thing which just like doesn't happen anymore, like in schools. Like I remember very distinctly, there's a Recess episode which, you know, covers the passing of a beloved pet hamster. Like I can't remember whatever, you know, and then it was like the entire town comes together to be like, oh, mourn the loss of this pet hamster or whatever, or gerbil, I can't remember. And it's like, oh, it's actually just been like they just keep buying new hamsters and gerbils every single time it passes, which, you know, makes sense. But like class pets, like are they legitimately a thing, or are they just like presumably they got to sort of be a thing, you know, at least somewhat based in reality, if they are prevalent, I suppose, in media properties in the first place. But in the same way that, you know, like cheerleaders are, yes, they are a thing in American high schools, of course, but, you know, they don't wear their cheerleading outfit wherever they go and, you know, whatnot. It's just sort of like an extracurricular activity. I'm sure that the truth might be ever so mildly stretched here and there. But like our class pet's like a really common thing in the US, because in the UK, as I say, the only times I can recall having a class pet, which was, I don't mean like the insult that people use to, you know, children just, you know, trying to get on the good side of teachers, I suppose. But like the only pet we've ever had, I think, were 2 guinea pigs when I was in nursery. I don't remember their names, but I remember it was basically sort of thing like every single week a different child was allowed to take them home and look after them for that week or something. And I remember one time, you know, I did it. I don't really remember. The only thing I remember from that week was on the way home, when I was bringing the food, I was like carrying the food. I think my father might have been carrying like the guinea pigs in a cage or something. And then like I was walking home with one of my good friends who lived kind of closest to me, and then I remember we were just like running down the street and I was just holding the food, and I tripped over and just like face planted into the ground, or onto grass, not onto like solid concrete, you know. Remember, I live in a kind of countryside-ish area, and then I was just like scattered like huge amounts of food everywhere. And I remember I was just crying because I was like, I thought I just horribly messed up and like the guinea pigs were going to die because I didn't have any food. And we just picked it all back up and put it back in the box. Not all of it, like most of it, I'd say. You know, it was a lot. It was like, you know, just imagine like spilling an entire like box of cereal, well, maybe not an entire, but like half a box of cereal just like into grass. A bit of a nuisance to pick up in the first place. But yeah, I remember that happened. That was a wild time. But yeah, we looked after the guinea pigs. They didn't die or anything. I remember like we let them run around like on the dining room floor at one point. I don't know why I remember that necessarily, but that comes to mind. And then we gave them back. That's about it. I guess it's kind of a cool thing, you know, provided that the family even know how to look after pets in the first place. You know, it's obviously, you know, a responsibility, you know, and a pet or an animal is a living being, of course. They deserve the amount of respect of one as well. So I'd imagine certainly if you're a family who is very used to pets and that sort of thing, you know, taking it home for a week is like, oh, no big deal. It's, you know, you have like an extra hamster which you have to pay attention to, and then, you know, your kids get sort of like a disproportionate amount of happiness from having it around just for that week. And then you as an adult, I'm sure, certainly isn't inconvenient, I would say, but it's sort of like a, you know, do it for the kid sort of thing. And I suppose the only deficit being like if the child's like, can we get a pet afterwards? And maybe you'd be like, yes, no, maybe, kind of depends. But I remember that happened. Anyway, I don't remember. I can't imagine guinea pigs live that long. They probably passed away before like I finished like primary school, but literally like never saw them again. And anyway, we didn't have any pets in the rest of the school. It was literally only for nursery for whatever reason. There was just like a rabbit hutch, like. From what I recall, we had a nursery building and we had like a pretty big sort of like nursery playground, which is fenced in and whatnot, which had a load of recreational things to play with. From what I recall, there was like a discarded boat. I can't remember what else there was. I think there was like a mini climbing frame. It was like hilly. There was like a sand pit, I think. A huge amount of recreational things, which is awesome. It was like a cool playground. It's a shame that all those things get taken away when you get older. isn't it? But yeah, what was I going to say? What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the rabbit hutch was like just underneath the stairs or something, from the stairs down from the nursery building to that little playground thing. Not big stairs, mind you, but it was like a meter and a half high, like flight of stairs or whatever. It's just sort of just like a So I'm not going to say kids can't look after pets or anything, but you would have thought certainly nursery school age children could be potentially quite disruptive to, pets in the first place. At least in like a group setting, mob mentality and all that. I'm not saying the kids intentionally are doing it, being like, let's spike these rabbits or whatever. And guinea pigs even, they're not rabbits. But sometimes kids aren't always as aware of themselves as they are. That's a learning process, which you hopefully sort of get to grips on by the time you're like a teenager at the very least. But yeah, it just sort of seems like a weird place. Oh, that's not right. It seems like a bit of a weird place to, put the pets, if anything. But I don't know. I think they lived nice lives, maybe. I can't really say I remember or recall. It's been ages since we had to do an island design thing, isn't it? But yeah, I remember we had that. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame the playgrounds get worse and worse, I suppose, as you get older. I never really thought about that. I should talk about that someday. And I say that, and I probably won't talk about it until maybe about 4 years in the future when I remember it. It would be a miracle if we're still doing this 4 years in the future, but you never know. Life is a crazy thing. Life is a funny thing. Oh yeah, we're doing little missions. Oh, that's what we should be doing. Okay, exercise, chop wood, coconuts. Can do. But yeah. I don't know, like class pets, it's just like, I'm trying to think. I think in secondary school we had like a fish tank, which had like some goldfish in it or something. Maybe not goldfish, just some random sort of pet fish in. I don't remember what fish they were, nor do I even know whose fish they were in the first place. I assume it was the biology department's fish, but also at the same time it's sort of like it's sort of like it's not really a class pet, isn't it? I guess it's more like the faculty's pet in the first place. In the second place, I don't really know. I know we need to run back to our house so we can actually build a stone axe again. That's literally the only other time I can remember a class pet. I guess it's probably like, that's like an additional burden for the teachers to, like, it's kind of like it has to be literally the teacher's pet. Oh yeah, that's a phrase, not class pet, isn't it? Teacher's pet. Because they had to look after it, because like, during holidays someone needs to take obviously responsibility for it. You can't just like leave a pet by itself in the classroom like over the summer holidays and expect it to be fine. They're not quite that self-sufficient, and also they're also probably like in a cage or something, which is fair enough. But I don't know, maybe it's also like some sort of like allergies things with kids are quite common, so you can't really have a pet. Obviously certain pets work better than others. You can't really have a cat or a dog. I think it would be rather distracting, I think, in a learning environment, but also quite therapeutic at the same time. So really, it's a win loss, lose win. And you win some, you lose some. That's a phrase that I often use, sort of situation. So I don't know, is it better or worse? Who can say? But at the very least, I would have thought like fish. You know what they should do? They should get like what is like the least the pets with like the lowest maintenance or something. Because I know there's a lot of pets out there which are surprisingly low maintenance. Like tarantulas or something are kind of like low maintenance. Like I think they're described as sort of like trophy pets, where like they're not really something you're meant to handle like all the time. Not like a dog or a cat or whatever. You can like pet them or whatever and play with them in that sense. And tarantulas, they sort of just like vibe out there. You feed them and that's it. And I'm not saying that you should get like class tarantulas. I think a lot of people are quite scared of tarantulas. So that's probably not really conducive to a healthy learning environment, I would wager. But who knows? Maybe also if you expose kids to tarantulas from a younger age, or be like more fine with them when they grow up. I'm not. I think you should probably hesitate to do that. Depending on the country you live in. In the UK we don't really have that many dangerous spiders, I suppose. But certainly if it's like Peppa Pig in Australia, you should probably not teach kids to like pick up and be like, oh, spiders are harmless. Because some of them definitely could bite and seriously injure you. Seriously hurt you, perhaps. Injure makes it sound like the bite themselves is injuring you. We should also do the radio exercises more just to like find out which roaming NPC we've got visiting us today. Traveling at NPC, that's a word. Yeah, no, I genuinely can't remember any other time there's been like a class pet, or even like a mention, like not even me, but like other like schools having like class pets or whatever. I think a big thing is probably just like the weekend, like what happens in the weekend, you know, someone has to either take a pet home or someone has to come in on the weekends to like feed it or something. Which, you know, I don't know how that logistically works out for American schools at the same time, who, if they have class pets, but I don't know. Excuse me, Joy-Con? Maybe fish would be fine, but fish you can't really move. So that, okay, that actually raises a problem. You need a pet which would be able to move. So maybe hamster really is like fine, you know. But it's in a cage, you know. I don't know actually genuinely how big a cage hamsters need. And then, as long as they have enough recreation, they'll probably be fine. And a hamster cage, you could take it home over the weekends, you know. As a teacher, you could take it home and look after it or whatever. Probably. I don't know. Or maybe a hamster... I mean, a hamster maybe is one of those pets that over the weekends you could just, like, leave it with enough food for the weekend and it will just, like, be fine. Because they store their food, right? You know, they store their food and they'll eat it later, probably. I don't know. I don't know. That doesn't really feel like something you should do. I'm going to be perfectly honest. But whether it's could or should or whatever, I don't know. I would leave it up to an expert rather than myself. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I feel like it's something which appears in sort of like media properties quite a lot, but, you know, just like I've never seen it. But, you know, and I stand to be corrected, you know. Americans out there, you can tell me how frequent, I suppose, it is to have like a pet whatever. Pet rock. I suppose you can have a pet rock. I can't imagine many kids would, well, maybe some kids would be happy with that. You know. Instead of having like pet rock, you can have like a pet, like a mascot thing for your class. That often goes down very well, I suppose. In most classes, I'm surprised that's not more of a common thing, you know. Even teenagers like interacting with like oh, I didn't mean to take a picture. Take my picture, like interacting with like a class mascot, I suppose, in like an amusing way or what have you, ironic way, but like not that ironic. You know how teenagers are, probably. You were one or are one, or. Well, I mean, I guess you could also be a child, and then you are not one yet, but you'll be one, so, I don't know, they'll make sense to you in whatever many years. I feel like my throat also feels very weird today. It feels very raspy. But yeah, I don't know. Basically, long short of it, I've never seen a class pet. Except for that 1 year in nursery. I wasn't even in nursery for an entire year. I was only in it for half a year because I was like, it was like a thing before. It was basically like pre-kindergarten technically, because like if you remember, like the older half of a year, you would move up to reception or something, and then the others would stay in nursery. I guess because of the development ages between 6 months is actually a pretty big deal when you're 3 years old, because that's like 1/6 of your entire life, right? So I guess that makes sense. I don't know. Anyway, that was a story for another time. Anyway, class pets don't exist. And I'm going to round off this episode here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares greatly appreciated. Twitter and Discord down below. Hope we can see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, Joy-Con. Bye bye for now.